The crisis at the southern border has dominated headlines for years. It consumes our national debate, it drives policy, it absorbs a tremendous amount of resources.
It's all anyone talks about.
Right. But while all that focuses on the south, something else is happening. Right under our noses, a massive, unprecedented surge of illegal crossings on the northern border is funneling organized crime, deadly drugs, and frankly, shocking national security threats deep into the country.
And it's all being driven by criminal enterprise, not just migration.
Welcome to the deep dive. Our listener today gave us a stack of sources, federal guidelines, recent reporting, because they want to understand this growing security failure along the border with Canada. So our mission is to analyze these startling statistics and see how federal law is even trying to respond.
And what we're looking at here, it's not a humanitarian wave. This is a dramatic, truly unprecedented spike in irregular activity, and it's all commercial. It's being driven by transnational criminal organizations that see the northern frontier as, well, a lucrative and vulnerable business opportunity.
Okay, let's start with the scale then, because the numbers themselves are a profound wake-up call. U.S. border agents recorded nearly 12,000 apprehensions along the northern border in 2023.
And to put that into perspective for you,
It's a massive 241% jump in legal crossings from the year before.
and that trend is just accelerating. It's not slowing down at all. In the first 4 months of this fiscal year, we've already seen over 5,600 apprehensions.
Which is more than 2021 and 2022 combined.
Combined, the pace is increasing exponentially.
Okay, that establishes the volume. But the real security alarm, that starts ringing when we look at who is coming through, specifically these foreign threats, who is exploiting this chaos.
This is where it goes from a numbers problem to a grave risk problem. The sources show a severe national security threat that is actively exploiting this neglected border. You have to look at the data for individuals on the Terrorist Screening Dataset.
The terror watch list.
Exactly. In fiscal year 2023, a staggering 85% of all land-border encounters with individuals on that watch list, they happened on the northern border.
Wait, say that again. 85% of encounters with terror watch list members happened at the Canadian border, not the Mexican border.
That's right. It's the crucial hidden piece of this entire story. And it gets worse. Halfway through this fiscal year, FY24, that number has jumped again.
So what?
It's now 93%. 93. This tells you the northern border isn't just a path for general migration. It's an active, targeted corridor, likely preferred by these threats because security is perceived to be lower.
Okay, so let's unpack this. If foreign threats are using it, that suggests a professional, highly organized network is in place. Who exactly is profiting from this, and how deep does this organization really go?
It's incredibly sophisticated. We're not talking about a couple of guys helping someone cross. This is a multi-billion-dollar operation being managed by transnational groups.
And they're using existing networks.
Exactly. They're leveraging smuggling networks that were already there, networks that used to focus on moving guns south and drugs north. They've just added a new high-profit commodity, people.
So the infrastructure was already built, they just changed the cargo. It's jarring to think the same logistics for weapons and cocaine are now being used for human beings.
It is. And the sources name some very serious players here. We know Mexican cartels are suspected of moving into this northern market.
Which means they're either working with or competing against the groups already there.
Right. And those established players are no joke. We are talking about major organized crime groups. The sources specifically name Italian organized crime, the Mafia Asian organized crime groups, and even the Hells Angels.
So these aren't small-time traffickers. This is a dangerous commercial enterprise.
Involving some of the most dangerous entities in the world, they already have the cross-border logistics locked down.
That immediately changes the risk profile for law enforcement. What's the actual business model here that's so lucrative it's attracting these groups?
It is pure predatory profit. Smugglers are charging just astronomical fees.
How much are we talking?
The fees range anywhere from $1,500 up to $35,000 per person.
$35,000 to
Yeah.
cross a river.
Yes. And they use sophisticated tactics to protect the leaders, the so-called shot callers. They're using encrypted texts, burner phones, layers of aliases. Law enforcement admits they can catch the low-level drivers, but prosecuting the masterminds is extremely challenging.
And this is where it gets truly dark, connecting back to exploitation.
Yeah.
The financial arrangement itself sounds less like smuggling and more like, well, like debt slavery.
That's a very accurate way to put it. The sources describe these arrangements as akin to human trafficking. A migrant might pay a small fee up front, but the rest of the debt has to be worked off once they arrive in the U.S.
Which leaves them completely vulnerable. No legal protection open to abuse, coercion.
Anything. And the organized crime groups aren't just profiting from the transport, they're acquiring a disposable labor force on the other side.
And in a really horrifying twist, they've figured out how to make the system fuel itself.
They have. They often coerce the people who are in debt into becoming the drivers for the next run. So the smuggled person on one trip becomes the smuggler on the next, just to pay off what they owe.
That's just a brutal cycle. And this whole thing ignores the actual conditions. We're not talking about a desert here. This is rugged, often freezing terrain. What are the specific dangers these criminal organizations are just ignoring?
The journey is incredibly perilous, and it shows their absolute indifference to human life. Talking about mountains, massive lakes, freezing streams, migrants are constantly found lost, stranded, at severe risk of freezing to death.
And people are dying. The records confirm that.
Tragically, yes. We've seen several documented deaths. A pregnant woman, in separate incidents, 2 entire families, 1 Romanian, 1 Indian, they drowned in the St. Lawrence River. These are high-risk ventures that the criminals organize knowing people could die. It's a cost of doing business for them.
The idea of families dying in a freezing river,
Yeah.
it's horrific. But let's talk logistics. The sources mention specific weak points that these groups exploit, particularly an area they call the black hole.
That is the single most critical tactical vulnerability on the entire border. It's a 12-mile stretch of the Akwesasne Mohawk Indian Reservation, which the smugglers themselves call the Black Hole.
And why is it so valuable to them?
Jurisdictional fragmentation. The international border runs right through the St. Lawrence River. So Canadian and U.S. law enforcement, they can't cross that line in pursuit.
So it's like a game of tag where the criminal can just step over a line and they're safe.
That's a perfect analogy. The pursuing officer loses all authority to follow. Enforcement is reduced to watching from their side of the river. So to take advantage, the criminals use high-powered gear, jet skis, speedboats in the summer,
And snowmobiles in the winter.
powerful snowmobiles when the river freezes. Speed is everything. They even use blocking vehicles on land to distract police during the actual run.
And these porous routes, they're obviously not just being used for people.
No, absolutely not. In fiscal year 2023, CBP seized 55,000 pounds of drugs at the northern border.
55,000 pounds.
And get this, that included 26,900 pounds of cocaine.
Nearly 13.5 tons of cocaine.
Yes. And it's not just drugs. Weapons and ammunition seizure events jumped by 20% compared to the year before. So the failure to secure this one border enables the flow of people, drugs, and weapons into the country, all using the same criminal networks.
So let's connect this to the legal response.
Yeah.
We've established the crime, the profit, the risks. But when they're caught, does the U.S. legal system actually have the teeth to prosecute this? Or is it a slap on the wrist?
Oh, it definitely has the teeth. The federal sentencing guidelines they're very aggressive on this. While the base offense for just, say, unlawfully entering the country is low, a level 8, the penalties escalate dramatically once organized crime or reckless endangerment is involved.
So what are the main triggers for these high-volume, profit-driven operations?
First, committing the offense for profit. That's a major enhancement. Second, involving 6 or more aliens. That proves it's an organized, high-volume crime. Third, any kind of coercion or threat. That's what covers those debt slavery arrangements we talked about.
And what about the physical risks? People freezing, drowning. How does the law respond to that kind of deliberate indifference?
That's where the law is most aggressive. Intentionally or recklessly creating a substantial risk of death or serious bodily injury, that's a massive penalty kicker. It can add several levels to the offense, which means serious prison time.
And what does reckless conduct actually mean legally in this context?
The guidelines are very specific. It includes things like transporting people in the trunk of a car or cramming way more passengers into a boat or vehicle than it can safely carry. It really underscores the fact that they are treating human beings like disposable freight.
And if that recklessness leads to death, like the families in the St. Lawrence?
If a death occurs, it's a mandatory 10-level increase. That pushes the offense into the highest tier, guaranteeing a very, very long federal sentence. The law is designed to punish that kind of deadly neglect.
We even have a case example that's playing out right now. Stacey Taylor, accused of running smuggling operations in those freezing conditions.
Right. The Taylor case shows how these guidelines are applied. She's charged with multiple counts of smuggling for profit. And because she's a repeat offender, that matters a lot.
How so?
Repeat offenders face a mandatory minimum of 5 years in federal prison for each count. And if a defendant has a prior felony conviction with a sentence of 5 years or more, that alone adds another 10 levels. The tools are there, but they have to be used.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? The data shows the northern border isn't just a passive route. It's an active, lucrative operational theater for major criminal networks. It's enabling the flow of weapons, drugs, and foreign threats into our communities.
Which raises a really important question. Given this surge, the direct involvement of transnational crime and these huge jurisdictional gaps like the black hole, is interagency cooperation enough? Or does the scale of this threat now demand a complete overhaul of enforcement resources?
Our deep dive confirms the federal guidelines treat this as a severe crime against national security. They demand heavy prison sentences because of the risk. And yet, the crisis just keeps getting worse.
So we have to ask, what level of financial loss, injury, or death must be reached before the United States dedicates resources that actually match the threat level? A threat level demonstrated by a 93% terror watchlist encounter rate on the Canadian border? The lack of control there is, at the end of the day, an open invitation to every adversary looking to exploit our vulnerabilities.